They might be self-aware.
Gary here, professional voice actor, currently outside a Shell station on Route 9 because the guys pay me enough to get here, but not enough to go anywhere else. Today on They Might Be Self-Aware. Okay, so the episode is literally called Who's the Fall Guy for AI? And I just want to say to whoever named it, I see you. The guys talk about AI sin eaters. Basically, when the robot deletes all your data, some human still has to do the apology video. That's a job now. I would do that job. I'm available. And then Anthropic's Claude, their AI, learned COBOL, which apparently is a programming language so old that retired guys named Gerald were being dragged off fishing boats to maintain it for consulting fees I will never see. Gerald had a dental plan. I have this payphone. Enjoy the show.
We're sorry. You have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service.
Celebrating the sin eaters of Silicon Valley right here on They Might Be Self-Aware. I am Hunter Powers, joined by the celebrity sin eater himself.
I'll eat anything. I'm Daniel Bishop.
Do you
I'll eat anything?
You said it, man.
I don't know.
Do you like the idea of the sin eater? What is this? Do we want to define sin eater again for our audience in case they're not?
Yeah. Okay. So you came up with this idea. I've started using it. I think it was you.
Okay.
It was us.
I'll take credit. I'll take the credit.
Collaborative.
I like the idea. I just think I read it somewhere.
Well, I'm giving you the credit because I didn't read it.
But wait, what is it? What is it?
So let's use a human example first.
Okay.
Let's say that you're the manager of a team of programmers.
Yeah.
And that team of programmers does some programming and they ship some code into production and then production explodes and just like, oh, the server is down. We're losing money by the day. You as their manager are responsible for your team and their output. You are the sin eater of the, and like, sure, maybe you can fire someone for gross incompetence or whatever, but still like ultimately the farther you go up the chain, each person in the link of the chain at like a corporate level is ostensibly responsible for those underneath them. Same thing with AI, as you call it, sin eaters, where you say like, hey, Claude, Codex, one of the old llama models, why not? Hey, whoever, a large language model, please accomplish this work for me. And it says, got it, on it, boss. And it does stuff. And then it deletes your, entire server's worth of data or whatever. You can't just be like, oh, well, Claude made a mistake. Like you as the person who is responsible for work output at the business or whatever that you work for, like you're the one whose neck is on the line there. You're the sin eater.
Yeah. I think there is like a real rooting deep in a religious history where a sin eater was a thing and you could go to a sin eater and pay them and they would consume your sins or take them on their own souls. And I think like that's the foundation. And then, yeah, there's this management play. And then there's the modern thing, the suggestion that this will actually become a real job because there has to be a human at the end of the day that is responsible for the AI actions. And so we will employ people to simply be the human responsible for the AI's actions. And I'm waiting for the first time that I get pulled over in my Tesla self-driving and the cops, because I'm going to be very adamant to the cop. I was not driving, sir. I was not driving. And we're going to have that conversation. What do you mean you weren't? No, it wasn't me. Like, well,
this already happens with like Waymo.
I refuse to be the driver. You put it in your notes. I was not driving. I'm like, what do you mean you weren't? No, it wasn't driving. It was the car driving. I refuse. I mean, I'll sign that. I'm not going to get hauled off, but we are going to have the conversation where I refuse to be listed as the driver because I wasn't driving. But I guess I'm the sin eater. I acknowledge that. I am my car's
the sin eater. Then the person who has to go to jail.
Well, that's me, right? Like again,
right.
I acknowledge my status as the Tesla sin eater, but I am not the driver.
In Catholicism, this is called indulgences, which was like a practice a long time ago of like, I did a bunch of sins, but I can pay money to still get into heaven. And I mean, I'm grossly oversimplifying, but still that seems to be the gist as I understand it. And like, is that what you're describing as the sin eater of like, okay, yes, something that I am responsible for made a big whoopsie, and you are welcome to slap me on the wrist as a result.
Well, again, the real sin eater, the idea is that this is a new position that will exist in the era of AI, because we're always going to need a human to be responsible for the AI's actions at the end of the day. We're not willing yet, and I don't think anytime soon, we're willing to just accept that the AI was responsible and the AI cannot have any repercussions, I guess. Yeah, that we can just blame the AI and there's no company, which ultimately means an individual behind it. There must be a human at the end of the day.
There is something like that in Japan. I don't know what it's called, but like a person who is the public, like, it's just the person that you trot out and you're like, it was his fault. Shame on him or her or whoever.
The whipping boy.
Yeah, sure. So what were you on about, sir?
Oh,
just like, yep, they still are a thing.
No, yeah, we were
you
just...
think it's more of a thing? I think that like the whipping boy, the sin eater, whatever, as its own job, I don't know if that's quite where we're headed. I do think it's more of like a management structure style thing, as opposed to someone who, like, that one person doesn't even touch the AI. I think that's the distinction that I'd make here. In my mind, I, Daniel, use the large language model to accomplish code and then get in trouble whenever it deleted all of our, users' data, as opposed to Todd, who doesn't have a job. He just sits over there, and if the large language model that I was using goofs up, we go and we have Todd do a press conference, and he says, I was bad. It was me who deleted all of your data. Like, I don't think that you're going to have just a meat person that you can say, give him all of the fault. It's the fault of the person that you hired to do a job that used a tool badly. I mean, like, people have been deleting production data or whatever since well before large language models.
Yeah, that would be a reasonable person's perspective, but that's just not how the world actually works. When bad things happen, someone has to take the fault. A company must fire someone, and so they search to figure out who is it we can fire, and it needs to be kind of
C-suite,
plausible
obviously.
to the public that it kind of makes sense that we let this person go, because the public needs to feel as though change has been made. Change has been
must
made.
roll.
But there is a theatrical element to it, and way more than I think we're willing to accept.
What you're saying, let me see if I've got this right. What you're saying, Hunter, is that you want to bring back the guillotine, but instead of people's heads getting cut off, you want it to be a robot. Because, like, really, the real sin eater isn't the person taking the fault for the large language model. You want the large language model to take the fault for the large language model.
I'm saying if we had our heads on straight, that is exactly what it would be. But we're nowhere near that moment. And maybe that is a moment that must happen in our path to self-awareness, if we are indeed going to achieve that it's okay that the AI is the one responsible, and the AI can come out with its mea culpa and its apology video that it posts to YouTube where it's crying a little bit about, I'm so sorry, I can't believe that I said Twitter.
I'm just really hoping that you latch onto the guillotine thing, because I love the thumbnails that you've been putting together for our episodes. They are incredible. For those of you who are just like, I'll just listen off the thing, please, I beg of you, at least just go to YouTube real quick. Like, yes, obviously give us the thumbs ups and the subscribes and whatever, but like, you got to see some of these thumbnails. Hunter's been doing an amazing job with them, and I want to see like a robot in like the guillotine, some AI sin eaters in the age of whatever. It's gonna be great. Hunter, I wanted to talk to you about Goldman Sachs.
Yeah.
One of the most exciting and fun and vibrant companies out there, right?
I mean, I don't know about that, but I am familiar with them. Yes, Daniel.
Okay, so yes, I was obviously lying there. They are neither exciting nor vibrant, but what they are is also hypocritical. I saw two. I know, gasp, shock. I saw two different articles that seemed very, very, very contradictory. So one of them is Goldman Sachs is eyeing job cuts and a hiring slowdown amid an AI push. They're doing an initiative called 1GS 3.0. Let's increase productivity. We're also going to do a bunch of job cuts and a hiring slowdown. But also, despite the fact that they said, like, yeah, we're going to cut some jobs, a lot of AI, productivity gains, we are still going to be higher. The net number of people is going to rise over the year. It sounds like they're basically just trying to cut some dead weight. Now, article the second.
Yes.
Goldman Sachs AI added basically zero to the U.S. economic growth last year. Now, I realize a company as large as Goldman Sachs has a lot of people and different opinions in it, but okay, one big article attributed to company says there's no, this is not affecting GDP. This is not giving the actual productivity gains. And then the other is saying, we, the company who just said that, are also so bullish on this, we're going to get rid of a bunch of people and push for more AI. How can it be both things? I keep seeing this weird dichotomy, but I was so glad to see it from the same company within the same week.
And there actually was another Goldman Sachs story out there, and maybe I shouldn't introduce it, but I will, which is that they're launching a new fund that will only invest in companies that don't use AI. It's called the AI, no AI fund or AI less fund or something like that.
AI index.
Yeah.
I like that because it's something like 30% of the entire stock market is 5 AI focused companies now. Too big of a number and too small of a number. And so I think even Goldman Sachs is okay, we should probably have some ability to easily diversify.
The first part is that I don't think any Fortune 500 company, and I don't know, maybe Oracle's the furthest along in this, if I had to pick one, has figured out how to exist yet in this AI first world where AI agents are treated as close to employees of the company as possible. They all kind of understand the concept, but they haven't figured out. And in credit to them, I don't even know how really possible it is. We're very close, but I don't know how far we are to actually making it so. I think there was an inflection point late last year where all of a sudden the tools kind of got good enough where when given the right input, the output was indistinguishable from human output. And so this, we crossed from it's not real to, yeah, it's plausible. We're fully in the plausible category. So but they need to have a strategy for doing this. Our market demands it. If you're going to be a giant company, you must have your AI strategy and how you're going to leverage it. But it doesn't really, it's not real yet. And I said Oracle's maybe the furthest along because I know that their whole agent platform that they have has been generating a tremendous amount of revenue and a tremendous amount of growth just from agents doing things. So it feels like the most real of all of them, but it's not real. So they want it to be real, but it's not real. And
it is feeling
the market demands it.
Companies. So the market demands that it be real.
The market demands it be real.
Speaking of other titans of industry and huge companies,
we demand these lies from you.
IBM's having a bad time because of AI, or at least ostensibly because of AI. I don't know why this wasn't a bigger problem sooner, personally.
This
because
is the COBOL story? Is that what you're
yes. So, right. COBOL is, for those not in the know, extremely old programming language. This is the kind of thing where nobody or nearly nobody is being taught it these days. And a lot of our banking infrastructure and old, the bedrock of sort of digital society has COBOL way, way, way down at the bottom of it. And so some people are being dragged out of retirement and being paid a ton of money as consultants to please help us maintain some of this old stuff. Anthropic, I mean, they're the ones tied to it, but OpenAI's Codex could do it just as well. But big article comes out, Anthropic's new AI tool can write COBOL code. And so some aspect of that, I think it was related to Claude had an update that was COBOL focused. And then IBM's stock went down the worst day in 25 years.
It dropped 13% or something in it.
Yeah.
In moments.
That's pretty big. And I do think that some of that is very reactionary, as these things tend to be. But also, I don't think banks, for example, are going to say, let's just vibe code away all of the COBOL. That will clearly not have any huge concerns. But you could still be using these tools to help migrate away faster, or at least understand and help maintain something that has an incredibly small pool of actual humans that could still do it.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things there. So the first thing is, I would suggest that in general, the stock market and the price per share of a company that's publicly traded is far more a reflection of their future value than their value today. That's why people invest. You don't buy a company because of what you think about it today. You buy shares in a company because what you think about it, where it's going in the future.
You expect that I spent some money to buy these shares, now it'll be worth more in the future.
Right.
So people say IBM, a company among other things that does a lot of this legacy maintenance of code, are possibly not going to be as big.
Well, right, but you invest in IBM not because you think it'll be flat, not because you think it's going to go down, because if it's flat, just put it in the bank. Because there's risk associated with an investment. You're investing because you have a hypothesis that a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, their market share is going to expand and the revenue is going to expand and the stock price go up. So when Anthropic comes out with a release saying, hey, that thing that previously we really struggled with, COBOL, because it's an old programming language and we just honestly never really focused on it before. And now
not as much on the modern internet of people talking about using it. You don't have as much training data to get good at it.
Now we're really good at it. So when people think about IBM, who generates a substantial amount of their revenue from employing these COBOL engineers who can go in and maintain these legacy systems and upgrade these legacy systems. Okay, well, that process is going to become much more efficient, and there's now room for more competitors in the space. Yes, no bank is going to be like, oh, all right, I'm getting rid of my IBM contract, and I'm just going to install Claude Code. I'm going to get that $200 a month plan, so I get the 10x credits, and say, yeah, refactor to pick a modern language, Rust. Let's rewrite our banking system in Rust, and let me know when you're done. No, that's not going to happen. But
why not? Why not?
Well, we're not there yet. Again, you want to go really far out. We're not there yet. But where are we likely to see in the next year to 2 years? The cost for IBM to implement these systems is going to go down, which means they're probably going to be not able to demand as much money for these contracts. And it's easier for another company to compete with an IBM because they can leverage these tools and be competitive, where previously IBM owned the brain trust, the COBOL brain trust. What a fascinating group that must be.
I do agree with you there that like this ability to compete, and we've talked about this on like the individual basis, where outside of like expensive connectors to like data coming in or whatever, more people are able to make more stuff than they used to. And if you already work at big company X, you have access to company X's data and code and whatever already, more people can affect more change. To give you an idea, I am not a front-end developer at all. I know I've talked about that a couple times. I made some front-end changes to like a little tool. It was small. It was very narrowly scoped. I had real devs also check the work at the end because I didn't really know what I was doing. But like someone who never, ever, ever would have done this in a professional setting previously, contributed to front-end facing stuff using Claude for the first time. Why not let other people who would say, like, instead of hiring a bunch of expensive consultants to like do data analysis or whatever of this data that we've got, why not let our people, our customer success folks, chuck a couple of Excel files into Claude and then get meaningful insights out? Why not do that? Get it in 2 minutes, even if it's only 70% as good. It just cost you, $150,000 in 6 months less time.
Well, part of the reason is the going back to those sin eaters that we opened the show with. That all right, when you do that, who's responsible for the output? When you're, what do they call them? Customer success manager or something. But
right.
These are people making $35,000 to $45,000 a year, and they are now generating these insights that we were previously paying the person $200,000 a year, our chief data analyst, to process and figure out and do all the math and verify everything. When the low person generates the report, who's responsible because the company's taking actions based off of that information. They're not comfortable
Customer
with it.
success person or their manager, like someone. I think
they should be.
Thing, like somebody has to,
and it's not.
Check the
it's not as good. That's the thing, right? So it's not as good, but it is 80% of the way there.
Right, and
at least
you run the risk of like weird assumptions being made, or someone who doesn't have experience being a data analyst, like doing something in a non-statistically significant way or whatever. And like, yes, you do run that risk, but the point is, and like this is kind of that cost-benefit analysis that I think everyone has to do for everything all the time. Is this good enough? Is it close enough to reality, or at least it's something actionable that won't get our company in too much trouble to be worth saving the $200,000 a year, a high-end person or team or an external consultant or whatever. And I think more companies are starting to say, it's good enough, and I wasn't going to check the numbers anyways, so sure, ship it. Maybe this is too complex.
Yes, companies are doing this, and then it bites them in the rear end, because inevitably the large language model will hallucinate things. I've read many reports around this sort of similar things where all of a sudden there are some numbers that just didn't make any sense, and then they went in and looked, and they're like, no, we lost the connection with our database 3 months ago, and just been hallucinating the numbers because it couldn't get the numbers back from the database. That scenario does exist, but at the same time,
my chest felt tight reading that article. So Hunter just glossed over it, but like what happened is someone was using an OpenAI model or Claude or whoever to be like, I need you to do analysis of our sales numbers, and it turns out if it ever had access to like real data, it didn't continue to have it. And was just making up numbers and like, here's a new table with June's numbers. And like company was making actual decisions based off of utterly hallucinated stuff. And so that you do run the risk of that kind of thing happening, especially for people who are less educated about AI and what it's actually being fed by. And is it actually connecting to real data and so on?
You do, but I'm also reminded, I've been at multiple companies where the CFO has to come out and do a mea culpa and say, we made an error and we need to dramatically restate our earnings. Like, they were off by 30% because we missed this large category of things and we're sorry. And actually it was this. And by the way, like the US government frequently comes out and like, we need to dramatically restate the unemployment numbers because we discovered this giant error. So humans make giant errors, maybe not quite as often, but they make giant errors. Today, at some point, some giant company will come out and say, we made a giant error.
Yeah. Oopsie, we have to revise our whatever because it turns out our, annual recurring revenue, whatever, was a third of what we thought it actually was.
So I do think that the AI makes them a little bit more often, but maybe there's definitely a connection that we're using. It's when we start using the AI more often that it then inevitably makes more errors, because there was just one CFO before, and now literally every employee at your company is a CFO to some degree because they can leverage their Claude Code or Claude or GPT, whatever, to do the same analysis. And so now you have 100 people doing the analysis. Inevitably, you got more errors, but I don't know that it's fun. I don't know that it's fundamentally different. I think it's a little worse. I just don't think it's dramatically worse. And I do think that we need to cross that gap at some point.
This instead of sin eaters, subject matter experts. That's a term that's used.
Smeeze.
That's used as an industry standard term already. And I think that we could use that as the lens through which we observe this, because Claude might, or Codex or whoever might be doing the majority of the work, but like, because you have to be responsible for the output, maybe you should take the time, and even though it could make code 10 times as fast as a person, you take half of the time savings and understand and be responsible for and be able to speak with any confidence whatsoever of like, I know these numbers actually came from this place, I understand the code that made it, or I've got and looked over the Excel document. Like, this is a problem that I have using these coding tools, which is it makes the thing really quickly and I say, cool, moving on, next thing. But like, what if I didn't do that? What if instead I say, cool, thank you for making that so fast. Now walk me through all the changes. I could read the code myself and I will, but also like, can you tell me and show me what did you change and why was it important, and so on and so forth. Because I think, like, until we have completely actually become quote unquote self-aware or completely removed the humans from the situation, it's not just a human that you can blame. It's a human that needs to be responsible for their output. And so that subject matter expertise of, like, I have this domain under me. I am aware of everything that is coming through. I don't just deliver value. I can now tell you about it too, from my words, not looking at a screen of Claude reading it. Like, I think that stays important.
Or maybe it becomes more important. Usually the SMEs at companies, they're individuals who they're the SME in this and they're the SME in that, but it's never like an official title or an official role. It's always sort of a background thing. Oh, if you need to know something about this arcane thing, go to that person.
Yes.
So, but maybe this is no, like an actual position, the SME position, which is also unstated. They are the AI sin eater, but stated the official title SME. I can buy that. I think we're the self-awareness SMEs. Would you agree, Daniel? Are we SMEs? Schmeedles?
We at least discuss the subject matter. Would you say that we're experts?
Self-awareness SME. I'm not comfortable describing myself as a self-awareness SME.
Yeah. I'll put that on LinkedIn. Maybe you add guru in there. That's really popular. Shmee. And
if you want to hear more from the two Shmees, Daniel, how would you suggest?
Shmee and he. Boy, if you wanted to listen to more of us, I'd say Apple Podcasts, Spotify. There's probably a Google. I know they had one and they shut it down. There's probably another one by now. But like YouTube.
More people listen to us on Overcast. Hi, Overcast friends, then Apple Podcasts. Apple Podcasts, you need to get your numbers up. I was looking at our stats the other day. It's about double.
Overcast, number one in my book
about
now.
Twice as popular as Apple Podcasts from
Let's
our
mention
listeners.
them by name.
Though,
Point forward.
A little teaser coming soon to the Apple Podcast listeners. Apple Podcasts is going to be releasing a video podcast integrated natively, and we are going to be one of the first people to be streaming the video, and you're going to be able to swap back and forth. I've been having discussions. And so coming soon to Apple Podcasts, you will get to watch us if that's your thing, if you get off on
really
that.
Exciting.
Yeah.
But if you'd rather, there's also YouTube.
Yes.
We got shorts. I think there's new shorts coming out.
Oh, yeah.
Too,
the shorts,
right?
at least one a day at this point.
Shorts are back, baby.
Oh, yeah.
Point is, though, watch us, listen to us. You're already listening to us or watching us. I don't know. One of those two. Smelling us, not smelling us. Subscribe, like, comment. Gary reads all the comments. I read all the comments. Hunter reads all the comments. We're reading all the comments. We love the comments. We love you, especially. You, the person listening right now.
Until next time, when we will be back with even more.
They might be self-aware.